Hello, travelers. My name is Grace Simmons, and this is the Random and Wonderful podcast. Settle in and listen to stories of wanderlust and transformation as you gain tips to inspire your next travel experience. The Random and Wonderful is brought to you by the Amethyst Palava Hut, LLC. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Random and Wonderful. Today, my guest is Michelle. I'm really excited for you all to meet her, and I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we'll get started.
Thank you, Grace. So excited to be here. Hi, guys. It's so good to see you. My name's Michelle Plante. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm sober, period. That's what I'm excited to talk about. I love wellness. I love travel. I was recently connected with Grace through a friend, Rena, and I know that she's all about wellness and travel. So just really looking forward to having a good conversation today.
Yes, I am excited. So let's get into, first off, your first declarating statement was, I'm sober. How have you found this new, chapter of life? Were you always sober?
No.
Or do you always plan to be that way? Or how did you get for that to be like your welcoming statement?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've just been really excited about it lately, and I'll share why. I have not always been sober, but it's been nearly 6 years, and I use the words sober and alcohol-free interchangeably, so I might be saying alcohol-free or sober. And there's this thing called intuition, and I kind of had an idea at some point that I would stop. Like, I used to joke and say that I would stop blacking out, and I quit drinking when I was 29. So I kind of always knew. It wasn't intentional, though. I just woke up with a really bad hangover one day, like I had many times, and I said, never drinking again. And this time, thank goodness, it stuck. And so I've just been really, really excited about it.
Well, congratulations on your 6 years.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it.
So one of the things, especially when it comes to traveling, right? You want to jump into the fun and, merriment of being in a new place. How do you balance that? Like, how do you maintain being sober, being alcohol free, and actually enjoy your trip? Because some people feel like, even if you're needing to relax or something, like alcohol is a part of that relaxing or social behavior. How do you distinguish and set those boundaries?
Totally, 100%. And, travel is my profession now, and I love helping people have really intentional trips without alcohol. And for me, that's getting super settled into the place. So that's taking a second, not feeling rushed. I love going to parks anywhere and visiting. I just got back from Boston, and Boston Public Garden was so beautiful. I hung out there for like 2 hours, but it took a minute, as I started to travel more and feel more comfortable. I learned that there's so much to do. Like, it's not about what you can't do. There's thousands of things to do when you're sober. Yeah.
So traveling is your profession. Can you dive a little bit more into that? How do you conduct these trips, and why is travel that leading vehicle for you?
Oh man, it's the best thing ever. It is.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you.
No. And I will share, it took me a while to get here. I worked in a Fortune 500 company for a long time before, finding the confidence to pursue a passion. And so I work as, a lot of people call them travel agents. I refer to it as a travel advisor. And I love I'm obsessed with hotels. Like, I'm obsessed with hotels. I'm obsessed with flights. I'm obsessed with learning about other cultures. I also love learning about other cultures' wellness practices. So I get really into it, like Japan, I just love. And I've learned that through travel, we can also experience transformation and have this beautiful personal growth experience while traveling. And so for me, travel, like, it's obviously fun, but it's also like this path to where I get to better understand myself. And I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Going back to what you said actually about the parks and finding wonderful parks. So one of my favorite stories when I was in Portugal was I was supposed to be wandering and going somewhere else, and I happened to just stop by this park. And like you said, you ended up spending like 2 hours, 3 hours just being there, right, in the park and just relaxing and just immersing yourself in that peace. So I think people limit themselves sometimes when it comes to the things that you can do. And for some reason, that always equates to active or activity or something grand. And just being still and in the moment is also beneficial.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I'm so glad you shared that. And that's so cool because, you're in this beautiful country and still one of the highlights was spending time in a park, just being in nature.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Love that. I love that. It's so beautiful.
Michelle, what's like a favorite travel story that you can share?
Oh my goodness. I just really find so much beauty and self-exploration through travel. It's like hard to pick one, when people are like, what's your favorite movie? Actually, what's your favorite movie is like an easier question.
All right. While you're thinking, what's your favorite movie?
Joe Dirt.
Okay.
That's so good. Or The Sweetest Thing. Well, I could keep going, but I spend a lot of time in Mexico, so I love going to Mexico. I love street food. So just
Mm-hmm.
where I can just have a lot of street food, but usually a lot of my favorite trips are the ones where I put my phone away. And I have been doing less and less of that, but there will be a trip in the future. But recently, I've really been enjoying trips where I travel with people. I used to travel solo a lot, and now I'm starting to travel with people, and I'm just finding so much more connection and community in that way.
Okay. Is that because it's through your business or these are other trips that you plan?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Grace? I want to hear about a trip that you love.
So usually I talk about Portugal is probably like a high for me. And Iceland is usually my favorite because that was my first one. But I went to Mexico this year, actually, and I was in San Miguel de Allende.
Yes. I was going to
And
bring That's where I didn't have my phone for a week.
yeah, I could see it. Like, I love a beach. I love being near the water. I'll take a river, okay? I love being near water. But something kept pulling me to go visit this place. I saw it on like a travel show and I wanted to go there and just so I was staying in the central and
Yeah.
then I got to walk a little bit outside to, I guess, like an old fabrics factory or where that used to be. So it's a little bit outside of the town. It's probably like a good 20-minute walk one way. But typically, I think I'd try to like get a taxi or an Uber, especially if I'm going outside of the city area. But just walking through, and you can kind of see like the different layers between being in the city that's super crowded and populated. You go out a little bit and you start to go into the community. You can see the schools, the homes, a little bit more residential, and then go out further to, I mean, what is another kind of a tourist spot. But even that walk was absolutely beautiful. And then again, in my mind, said I was going to spend like 1 or 2 hours there. And I felt like the hallways just kept leading to another room. And this was a very artistic collection. And so there were galleries, there were just different people who were showing off they had little shops and little posts and whatnot. There was a lot to entertain your eyes walking around in there. So that I thought was really fun. It was quite a reward for making that little trek and walking back. But yeah, I think that was kind of a favorite moment. Like, yeah, let me see what's going on down there.
That's awesome. That sounds amazing. Yeah, San Miguel's the best. Cool. I'm so glad you shared that. Thank you.
Wait, so have you been to San Miguel?
Yes, I went for some serious healing. So I went to a house pretty much where, I mean, the short version is that I was going through a breakup. Okay. And I was like, I need help. And so, friends connected me with friends, and it's pretty much just like a couple who supports you. Like,
Okay.
it sounds weird when I explain it now, but it wasn't. It was like perfect. And I had met that woman a couple months before. So it was just pretty divine, if you will. Yeah. So I turned my phone off. It was over Christmas. I had skipped Christmas that year too, because it was just like, it was very clear, it's never about the breakup. It was just about everything else that presents itself when you're going through that. And so I was like, okay, I'm ready to shed a lot of this. So I just turned the phone off, I probably read like a couple books. I didn't bring any of my own. They had a lot. So I just read books, and then I
Yeah.
journaled for days at a time and cried, of course. But I obviously got to explore a couple days, and they would just drop me off and I would just walk around without a phone, like boop, 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 like, where am I going? I have no idea. They're going to pick me up in 2 hours. I hope I can get back. But
Yeah.
so it felt like a true adventure, but it was really cool.
Yeah. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. If there's a time where I kind of put my phone away a little bit, there are these things called getaway. They're like little mini cabins. And they're like converted trailers. And so it's just a cute little, they've got like 1 or 2 bedrooms, something like that. But they are a community of these little wooden cabins or trailers. It's like the extent of camping that I think is my limit, right?
For sure.
You still have access to all the amenities, flowing water, but you're in the middle of nature, and they give you a little lockbox to put your phone in and just enjoy being there. And the entire idea, like there's like we have no Wi-Fi. Again, we have no Wi-Fi. Just enjoy yourself. But the way they've designed it was just to take a wonderful break. I think it was like my start of what a personal retreat is and how needed that is, just to take a break. I still I need to do that again. And I find like, oh, I'll go somewhere else. And San Miguel was actually supposed to be my finally fulfilling that. Like, I need a personal retreat. But I think that was definitely something I want to do again. Be in the quiet, put your phone away.
No Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi.
Well, that
Just
sounds cool. And you
walk
have
around.
that. Yeah, you have that to go to whenever you know the time is right.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be prepared. You'll know exactly where to go and when. That sounds awesome. Take me with you. Like, I'll be there.
Essentially, I tell so many people about it, and I'm like, I don't understand why it's been years since I've been back.
It's all awesome. I'm sold. Like,
It's great. Can you tell me a lesson or some experience that left a good impact on you?
whew, thousands. I mean, I believe that every person is a teacher in our lives. So I'm always trying to learn a lesson. And my experience is that you will keep being presented with the lesson until it kind of clicks.
Right.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
whew, I think, I mean, honestly, this is like very vulnerable and embarrassing, but it's about having healthy relationships with men. Like that,
Mm.
it's not something I share a lot about, but so here we are being random and wonderful, but
Here we are.
but yeah, I had to learn that lesson a long time, and now I'm in a super healthy relationship with an incredible man, and it took me a second, but it was worth it. And of course, I'm still learning, but that was something
Mm.
that I had, spent a lot of time and energy on.
I like that phrase. Everyone is a teacher.
Yes.
Because one of the things I really try to encourage is making sure you share your story because other people benefit. Like that's the entire reason why this podcast exists, is because so many people have incredible stories to share, advice that maybe they don't realize is advice. They're just sharing their experience. And another person's like, oh my gosh, I was going through that and I was wondering about that, or I was struggling with that. And you never know what people have gone through and how it can help you, depending on where you are. So I'm glad you were vulnerable and shared that.
Well, thank you, Grace. I felt safe to do so. And I love that that's what you're doing here, because it hasn't been until very recent where I've, felt confident in sharing about my sobriety. Like people, over time have made me feel like it's this bad thing. Like, oh, you had a problem. I'm like, what? Okay, does it even matter? Like, I just made a decision for myself. And I've found that through sharing, I feel better. Like, I feel more excited about it. And that's how I just rolled up here. I was like, I'm sober. Like, it's my favorite thing about myself. And so I'm glad you can take that back with you, that every person is a teacher, because too, I've been to a couple, like personal development seminars or whatever over the years. And like One of my favorite is like when the speaker will be like, okay, picture someone you are so angry with. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm mad. And then like, I'm like, oh my God, I need to like text them, like whatever. And the speaker will be like, that person is a precious child of God. And I'm like,
Come on.
yeah, I'm like, okay. Why'd you rile me up? Like, I'm like, okay, what do you do now? Like, but it always like sinks like so deeply every time. And I'm like, "Ugh." And that has been a really beautiful lesson for me too, Grace, is just like having that belief and treating people like that and seeing the value that everyone can provide in your life, like whether it's tangibly or not. And most of the time it's not. And just being open to that.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody about how travel has been a great teacher of like emotional intelligence, where I think traveling, especially when I started doing solo travel, was because I initially was like, I'm trying to prove that I can do this on my own. And then, of course, there was a learning experience, which was just like, you just need time alone. That's different. And even on that experience, I connected with so many people there and learning how to properly communicate, right? Get in touch with your actual feelings and digging in and learning those lessons in a way where it's like, other people are children of God, right? Like other people have entire lives and we happen to meet on a few points. And I don't know, it definitely helps your perspective, how you engage with other people, how you think about certain situations. Yeah, that's a needed reminder.
Yeah. At what point did you connect travel and emotional intelligence?
I studied emotional intelligence for my own help. A couple years ago, I was going through a really rough time and I could not figure out why I was so frustrated and angry and hateful towards myself, but it was also coming out at other people. And I couldn't really put those two things together. And so after my first trip to Iceland, it was just like an awakening. So, okay, let me go back. Before the first trip was skydiving. Skydiving is like my life-saving, get yourself together, sis. So during that internal hate, seriously, and that was coming out of other people. And there were things that were outside of my control and I needed to change, but there was no reason for me to feel the anger that I was feeling. And so with going to therapy and trying to rebuild and find myself again and reconnecting to the church. I've never stopped, but like actually being present with my church and actually being like, hey, God, sorry, we have not had an honest conversation in a long time. My bad. All of that. And when I was in Iceland, then I started thinking about how I could dig into who I am and my emotions and actually like be honest about what I was feeling and be truthful about why was I feeling frustrated. And the frustration came from I felt like I didn't have control. And so going on a solo trip is like, all right, now you have control. What are you going to do? Right.
So glad this is amazing. Yes, keep going.
And so you're like, all right, here we go. And I learned great things from it. I learned to, be clear in what I wanted to say and be respectful of my own boundaries and let people know what those boundaries are, because how are people supposed to know? So that is kind of the tie-in. So then when I came back, just for me to learn a little bit more of myself and then help people put into words what I had learned, I had started studying emotional intelligence. And there's so many different components that your emotions affect and can impact. And if you don't have a good handle on any of them, right? Like your finances to social to friends to food, your emotions can impact all of that. And so if you aren't aware of it, I think that's like the foundation for me is my emotional intelligence as well as my spiritual health. Those two needed to be nursed back to health.
Whew, amen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so happy to hear all of that because how easy would it have been for you to continue going down the path of self-hatred and outbursts and not clearly checking in with yourself? And
Mm-hmm.
it's a hard decision to pay attention to your emotions. It's not easy. It is not. And it sounds like you've made so much progress to where you're having conversations internally and externally. You're able to identify and establish boundaries. And you're like, I'm back. Like, I'm good. That was weird. Like, we're here now. So I'm just so happy to hear that. That is really inspirational because I feel like it's so worth the discomfort of going through those really challenging experiences of like going in. It can be hard.
Yeah, it is. And thankfully it's worth it. Though that was weird is legit a feeling that comes up every once in a while. Like, why was I so, wow. All right. I don't know who she was. Like, but yeah, it was something that needed to be dealt with.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Really cool that you can share that.
What is some advice that you would give a traveler to help them appreciate their trip? So, like when they get back, how do they appreciate what they've gone through?
Yes. Set intentions like
Mm-hmm.
first. And sometimes what you're looking for may not even be a trip in the first place. So it's like, I feel like, I'm obsessed with this. And I just feel like a lot of times people are like, oh, I need a vacation. I'm like, do you need a vacation or do you need rest? Or do you need to check in? Do you need a new job? Do you need a new relationship? Or do you just need to sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you just need to sleep, like before
Yeah.
you go. And it's like with anything in life when people are like chasing, 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 like saying this will make me happy. And people project that onto vacations too and trips. Like, as soon as I get back, things
Yeah.
will be fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that'd be really cool. I don't think it's the case. I think that when you set intentions and you say, this last trip that I went on to Boston with my boyfriend was to celebrate his birthday. And I was like, the intention here, and you can do this like with friends or with your partner or with yourself, journaling and just saying, I want to explore the history. I want to eat a lot of seafood and I want to be super present with my boyfriend. I don't want to be like lame or like whiny or just, be like an annoying girlfriend. Like if like my feet hurt or whatever, like I just want to really honor him and make him feel really special because it's his birthday weekend and just remind him how cool he is. And of course we did. And something I always try to think of before going on a trip too is how do I want to feel after? When I get back, do I want to feel inspired? Do I want to feel rested? Do I want to feel excited? Do I want to feel maybe a little nostalgic for that trip? And planning that, like having the vision for the entire time, in my experience, has been really helpful when it comes to traveling.
I like that. Setting your intentions before you go is
Yes.
so key.
Yes.
Appreciate that very much.
Yes. Yeah.
What's your favorite self-care practice while you travel?
Ooh, waking up early and sleeping. If a hotel has a bath, man, I am in that bath. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, like that is important for me. And, just little things that I do at home. I'm really proud of the progress I've made when it comes to my daily rituals and wellness. And it's nothing crazy. Like, I'm just going to say it's really simple. But even things like I don't get on my phone or my computer in my bed. Like,
Okay.
they don't go in my room. And when I'm traveling, my phone does not stay next to the bed. Like it's, whatever in the bathroom or on the little desk. And I do the same with my computer. Like just those devices don't belong in the bed. And so my brain knows that bed is for sleeping. So I don't know if anyone else does that, but I really like that.
I do too. Prioritizing sleep and removing those devices from near your bed.
Yes.
So that you focus on sleep 100%.
Because I'm trying to wake up early and see everything, like it's a full day. Yeah, I come back and I just want to pass out. Like, let's do it again tomorrow. Like, this was so epic. I'm trying to see everything. I want to know everything.
I like that. Awesome. All right. Before I wrap up, do you have any questions for me?
Ooh. Well, I'm so curious about the skydiving experience.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, skydiving.
Yeah.
My cousin had her graduation in Florida, and she was like, hey, my gift to myself is I want to go skydiving. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's do that. Just agreed to it. And of course, later, after I hung up the phone, I was like, why did I agree to that? It's something I wanted to do. However, I don't know if I was ready yet, you know? And of course, I'm trying to like psych myself out. I'm watching videos, I'm reading everything. At that time, the job that I was in, it was this administrative job that was around the time where I was just like, I hate everything. I hate my coworkers. I'm hating this day. And I was looking forward to that being like a nice escape. But like you said, if you don't deal with the mess before and you try to hope that a trip is going to somehow wipe everything clean, you're in for a very rude awakening. And so going through all the things that I was going through, it really became like, okay, you need to make a decision. Either you want to live and take on whatever life has given you, or you give up. And I was really at a point where I was trying my best not to admit, but I think mentally I had given up on everything. I didn't really see the point of being here. I didn't feel like I was contributing anything. I didn't see what a future with grace in it would look like. And I was like, I mean, I'm just here, you know? And so her very random invite was like, all right, sure, I guess. And so we went skydiving. And the whole buildup is like, you know, we're going through this training and both of us are like, you know, we're ready. And we get in the plane and we're both like, yeah, we're good, we're good. And they open the door and we were like, why do we do this? Yeah. So the wind is rushing past us and we were like, how, why? Who signed us up for this? And the first couple of people went out and, you know, we're all jumping and you see them and they're just like, oh, we're like, oh God, okay, here we go. But we were doing tandem jumps. I think that was our first jump, of course. So you're attached to someone else. And that is a whole thing of loss of control and trust because you are attached to someone who knows a lot more of what's happening than you do. And so making sure I'm listening and all that good stuff was like, okay, I just need to make sure I don't panic. I don't worry, whatever. We get out to the edge and you have to do like this little curve to fall out of the plane. And we do. And we are falling. And I remember just screaming for what felt like 10 minutes. I don't know how long we were falling, but I was screaming for a minute. Like I inhaled and continued to scream. And we're just falling. And I'm just like, oh my God. But in that moment, it kind of reminded me of like, yeah. So back to that question. Do you want to live and enjoy your life or are we giving up? And I kind of stopped screaming. I just opened my eyes and I'm looking at the earth rushing towards me. And I just thought, this is so beautiful. All of this is so beautiful. I'm seeing we're in Florida, so there were a couple of like little lakes around. So there's like mix of like blue and green and there's the blue sky that we're in and it just, the way it encapsulates the earth. And I was just like, this is so gorgeous. There's no way God put me on this planet to just give up as I have. And I decided I wanted to enjoy this life that I've been given, this gift of a life that I've been given.
Yep.
And so as we're falling, I had stopped screaming and I'm actually like trying to look through my goggles and see everything. And the parachute opens up and, you know, now we're just gliding down. And it was such a feeling of like, I was so small, but I didn't feel insignificant. I felt like small in a way that I belonged here. There was something completely outside of me and I was trying so hard to take on everything. It was unnecessary. It was unnecessary. I just needed to chill out, just as I was doing while we were gliding down. Just be, right? And so, yeah, just being able to see the earth from that view is incredible, first off, but also just a great lesson of like, there are so many things beyond what you think you can control and what you're trying to make perfect. And when it doesn't happen, you get depressed, you get upset, you get frustrated. So yeah, we landed. There were tears in me and my cousin's eyes, and we were both just like, that was amazing, and we're ready to go back up, of course. But after that, I think just that thought of like, I don't need to control everything. I was here, I was given life for a purpose, and I don't want to waste it. And so something that I have written like on my mirrors, I'm choosing to live. I'm choosing to enjoy this life, no matter what comes, no matter what adventure I have been suited up with for today. I want to enjoy that life. And for me, it's evolved into the way I travel and being mindful and incorporating wellness. But yeah, that skydiving trip was a jump start to what decision do you want to make?
So beautiful.
That was a lot.
Really special.
So
Yeah.
before we go, Michelle, could you please let us know, first off, what are you working on or what's coming up for you? And then where can we find you?
Yeah, for sure. Grace, just thank you again. Like, that was so special. Like, that was just really special. Thank you so much. And I'm working on right now creating group trips for women who are also alcohol free or sober curious. So in January, we're going to Costa Rica, and in March, we're headed to India. And these trips are focused on luxury, adventure, and wellness, and just having mindful connections in community. They're really focused on experiencing the destination from a local's perspective, but also having like really nice accommodations, like that balance. And I'm really excited about that. And yeah, it's going to be really special. Looking forward to doing a lot more in the future, just giving women an opportunity to connect and get to see the world with other like-minded humans.
I know I'll add like your website and your and all that, but where's a good place to find you?
Instagram, Michelle Plante Travels.
Awesome. Okay.
Love what you're doing. Keep going. Really excited.
Same to you. I think that's a wonderful opportunity that you're giving people instead of them having to look for it or try to make it on their own. I like that you're offering it as a group trip. I almost wore my Costa Rica shirt. I'm a little upset. It's sitting out. I was going to wear it.
That's awesome.
Oh, Michelle, thank you so much for being a guest and sharing your story and your work with us. I'm so glad to have had you as a guest.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Hey there, Grace here. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained some useful takeaways. Thank you so much for listening and staying until the end. Don't forget to rate the show or share it with some friends. Have a wonderful week. Take care. And remember, be bold, be curious, be ready to tell your story. You never know who needs it. Bye-bye.